Good morning, everyone. As you can see, I'm joined by lots of my senior management team. We have meetings regularly with my team. I wanted to give you and the media and the larger community a window into how we work as we assess and talk about what we're doing as it relates to the state of emergency. So today, you are going to hear from members of our team and the investments in focus that we are making as it relates to Clinton Avenue in particular the 14605 zip code. As we know, this zip code, if you look on this map, is one of the neighborhoods that I have designated as in crisis. This neighborhood was also the impetus for me having put into place the state of emergency on July 21st. But before I start with that, I want to say that my thoughts and prayers continue to be with the folks in Florida who are being ravaged by Hurricane Ian, as well as our friends in Puerto Rico who are recovering from Hurricane Ian. The city, we are still in mourning. As you know, we laid to rest a firefighter Reyes, a couple of days ago. So my thoughts are still with the Rochester Fire Department and with the Rochester Police Department, who lost a retired member, William Keith Booker, this past weekend. So please keep all those folks in prayers. And we also, what's top of mind, and what has a lot of folks in the community talking and upset, is the heinous act that happened on Wednesday on North Clinton Avenue, an area that is a focus, as you can see from the map here, and as we've said from the beginning, the 3-year-old baby that was shot by cowards on that day when they decided to do stupid, idiotic things in broad daylight and start a shootout. As I told you, we are determined to make a difference on this front, particularly in this 14605 zip code. From time to time, you will see us talk about other designated areas, 14608, which is the Lau Avenue area, which is another focused area for us, particularly as it relates to the state of emergency. But today, we want to talk about 14605 and Clinton in particular. And we'll continue to provide these state of emergency updates. We'll do it regularly. Usually we do this sitting around a table, but we wanted to give you all, the media and the larger community, to hear what I hear from my team on the investments that we're making on this front. I again want to point you to the map. 90% of most of the violence and crimes that we see in our city continues to happen on 10% of the street segments. Why does that matter? It matters because when you hear about what happens on North Clinton Avenue, that gives you the perception that it's happening everywhere, that it's downtown, that it might be in the southeast. We have to make sure that we zero in on these neighborhoods that are being held hostage by individuals who think that they can do whatever it is that they want to. So the vast majority of these people in these neighborhoods are peaceful, but they have been subjected to the highest level of crimes, and they are also subjected to the highest levels of poverty. Top 5 poorest zip codes, 14605 is in the top 5. So not only are they experiencing high levels of poverty, they're also experiencing high levels of violence. So those neighborhoods are in crisis, and we want to make sure that we continue to focus our areas on those neighborhoods. So these recurring briefings that we will be providing to the media and the public, we will continue to do that neighborhood by neighborhood so we can get a deep dive of exactly what is happening. – 14605 is the second poorest zip code in New York State. So in addition to the crisis of violence, this once redline neighborhood is also deeply impacted by the crisis of poverty. So I have spent hours with the chief and members of my senior management team on North Clinton Avenue. We were just there. A day before we had the tragedy of that 3-year-old being shot, who remains in stable condition, and as I said, we continue to pray for them. So we have to attack these problems on many fronts, on the law enforcement side, but also on the investment side. That's why you see all of my commissioners here today. so they can give an update on what they're doing in those areas, and we will continue to do that. We will continue to use every single legal means possible to make sure that we dismantle the effects of gun violence, violence in particular, but particularly gun violence as best we can. I also want to say, and I want to commend the chief and the Rochester Police Department. They've done what we've asked them to do. And you heard the numbers yesterday. I'm not going to go over the numbers again. The chief may mention them. But in 3 weeks, when they take 54 people who are charged with criminal possession of a weapon and they get them off the streets, they're doing their job. They're doing what I asked them to do. They're doing what the public asked them to do. But when these individuals know that there are no consequences and they can come back and do whatever they want and wreak havoc, that is a morale defeater for the members of the police department and of the community, because they're doing what we asked them to do. You heard the example of the individual yesterday, one 16-year-old carrying body armor. Parents, if your child has body armor and they're not wearing it for a Halloween costume, we got a problem. Mr. President, come on up, please. We got a problem. If we have individuals wearing body armor, 16, hanging out with a 36-year-old who was out to be sentenced on another crime and then committed another one. So as we do our part, we have to make sure and we remind people that we cannot do this alone. But today the focus is on North Clinton, 14605, and we will continue to do these updates around the city, because people want to know what's happening with the state of emergency. So the only difference is usually we would be in the mayor's conference room or on Microsoft Teams, and my team would go around to talk about what we're doing as it relates to the state of emergency here. So you're going to hear from several people here to talk about 14605, in particular this target area and what we're doing there. I'm going to start with our police chief, David Smith, who will give an update. Don't take any of my papers off of that.
Good morning. So the actions the police department have taken so far on North Clinton, nothing new. I've spoken almost daily about what we're doing, but again, this is to replicate, our weekly meetings that we have. So the problem, obviously, that we have identified on North Clinton Avenue is that it has been plagued by violence, to include 8 murders this year and the horrific shooting of a 3-year-old child. Think about that, 8 murders in this area. The police department has increased high visibility patrols to include the Community Affairs Bureau, our 4th platoon, and overtime shifts from patrol. The Rescue Our City initiative continues to operate. North Clinton Avenue continues to be the hub of this initiative, which is based upon utilizing an expanded U.S. Marshals Violent Fugitive Task Force. The RPD has tripled the number of members assigned to this task force. This initiative is identifying and targeting our most violent offenders, as I've said many times. Our Community Affairs Bureau continues to meet with local businesses and conduct safety assessments, and to build upon our relationship and further include them as partners in reducing violence. Moving forward, we will continue to meet and work with both our city and community partners to build upon our efforts to bring peace to the residents of the North Clinton Avenue corridor. And I just have to say thank you to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter, for again supplying some folks last night when we were looking at upping our deployment. They were able to provide some deputies as early as last night, and you'll be seeing the deputies out doing high visibility patrol with our folks.
Thank you, Chief. And the Chief, through his department, through the Rochester Police Department, will continue to keep you all updated, and you may hear from him again next week. And now I'd like to have Corporation Counsel Linda Kingsley to share specifics on some of the legal strategies we are using to address both local businesses as well as not local individuals who are fueling trouble. And Linda will touch on this, and I won't steal her thunder, but I want you all to know that a lot of the mayhem and nonsense that we have seen on North Clinton Avenue, this is why it matters to the larger community, because some of the zip codes of those individuals, they live in Greece, they live in Fairport, They live in Brighton, they live in other places, and they're coming to North Clinton Avenue for a particular purpose. And that is also causing part of the problem. And we're also going to start dealing with those individuals as well. And I'll let Corporation Counsel talk about that, and then after that I'll bring up Victor Saunders.
Thank you, Mayor. While the role of the law department is to address nuisance abatement citywide, and will continue to do that, I am instructing my staff to place a special emphasis on North Clinton Avenue and its surroundings. Additionally, there is a multi-departmental team that has been in existence since this administration started, involving Rochester Police Department, Law Department, Neighborhood Service Centers, Code, Fire Department, that meets monthly and identifies the worst of the worst. And again, that's citywide. I am, however, going to also ask that group to put a special focus on North Clinton and identify for us the worst of the worst for North Clinton, so that we can put an extra emphasis there. We have and will continue to react quickly when something happens in the neighborhood. One example, as you may recall, there was a homicide at Blackout Soul, which started as a restaurant, and for decisions that were made for financial reasons, they added a late-night illegal party component. There was a homicide. Within 24 hours, we had the owner in here, and we had agreement with the owner to permanently close the location. We will continue to target that way when an incident happens. The tragic incident of Wednesday afternoon occurred in the area of a gas station, as you know. This is not typically where my department focuses its resources, and I will note that RPD tells me that there has been efforts at cooperation in the past from that landowner. However, I learned yesterday that this business had 349 calls for service in the past 12 months to RPD. No single business can be allowed to function that way, and the law department will be meeting with the owner to determine what other steps the owner will be willing to take to bring those numbers down and to bring that property under control if they wish to stay in business. Finally, and the mayor just referred to this, we know that much of the drug activity in this area comes from suburban purchasers who think they can anonymously come into the city, engage in criminal activities, purchasing drugs, and then go back to their neighborhood untouched. We also know that that drug activity is inextricably linked to the gun violence in the city. Some of you may be old enough to remember a time period when prostitution, one of the tactics, was sending letters to people whose cars were seen interacting with prostitutes in various parts of the city. Well, we're about to engage in the same practice for drug activity. If we see a vehicle with occupants engaging what appears to be an illegal interaction in the Clinton Avenue area, and we may well expand it to other areas, the registered owner of the vehicle can expect to see a brightly colored envelope, nothing discreet about it, from the city of Rochester appearing in their mailbox. The letter will warn them of the potential dangers of their interaction and also tell them where they can seek help if they do have a drug problem. This tactic was an effective tool with prostitution, and we expect it to be an effective tool with drug purchasing in the city.
Many of you know that I am a movie buff. I know some of you guys aren't as cool as me, so you probably don't know all the movies. But we are not going to let North Clinton Avenue be the Carter Apartments of New Jack City. Anybody ever saw that movie? They took over the Carter Apartments, and those people were live-in hostages. One of the lines was, "This is like Beirut, forget it." That's not going to happen on North Clinton Avenue. We are not fooling around as it relates to that area. It is affecting the entire city. We have people that see the news, they watch your reporting, and what's happening there is affecting everywhere else because people don't differentiate, because they don't take the time to look at the numbers and the areas of where most of this violence is happening, and it's happening on North Clinton Avenue, and we are not going to have it. The people of North Clinton Avenue will not be living hostages. They will not be. They don't want to be. You all know Victor Saunders, my advisor on violence prevention. Victor literally works day and night with his team, engaging young people to keep them out of trouble, and adults as well, and engaging adults who need encouragement to find healthy alternatives to violence. So I want Victor to talk specifically about 14605 and in particular the North Clinton area. Victor.
Good morning. As the mayor mentioned, myself and my team's heart goes out to the family of the 3-year-old who was wounded in that senseless act of violence on Clinton Avenue, as it does for all the different victims that we've had to address this year. We've dedicated a significant amount of time in the Clinton Avenue section for the last 3 months. We've covered over 350 hours of street outreach, specifically to the Clinton corridor. We've also had community engagement events trying to get the residents within the area to come out and engage, receive some information about resources and things that could assist them in quality of life issues, as well as deal with the issues of violence in their community. As the mayor noted, this area suffers from significant poverty. And having worked at school number 8 for the last 6 years, recognize the traumatic situations that arise out of the poverty that exists in that neighborhood. And one of the main culprits of that is the rise in violence that we see currently. It is not hopeless, and it's shown through the good work that a lot of different people in the community are currently doing, but it's definitely a strong lift. We are engaging people to de-escalate conflicts and encourage productive resolutions to disagreements. Unfortunately, as you've heard the mayor state previously, people don't necessarily deal with using their words when they're upset, when they have a firearm handy. And that itself is a major problem for us. We are currently reconnecting people to jobs, helping folks find purpose and meaning through helping others. We have a high number of previously incarcerated individuals in that zip code. Understanding that, we are definitely, through our reentry coordinator, engaging in pre- and post-release strategies for life changes. These are some of the different things that we're deploying and assist individuals before they return home to make those changes necessary to not feel the need to pick up a firearm to satisfy financial or interpersonal conflicts. We are collaborating very closely with other community partners and peace workers in the community that are boots on the ground working with this population. We have numerous caring neighbors, and those caring neighbors, every time you hear of a homicide in Clinton section, become further and further traumatized. Those same neighbors that are further and further traumatized are going to be needing of assistance in the way of their own social emotional well-being. And we want to assist in that and offer services or link them to resources that could assist them in doing better. Because it's not only one person that is a victim in this crime. It is an entire community. And as this community weeps, we weep. We are working diligently to connect a lot of the different residents as well as individuals who want to change their life to those resources available within our community. And we have numerous resources available. Within our Pathways to Peace team, we are currently expanding our team to address more issues within the Clinton section, as well as we just received a grant from the Department of Criminal Justice Service that could possibly assist us in utilizing those funds to add more overtime to the workers to assist in that area over a longer period of time during the days and nights. We're looking forward to being as diligent as possible and working with those individuals and businesses within the neighborhoods that want to see change take place within that neighborhood. I will have more to say about the work that we are completing in the near future as we finalize the results of our RFP process for the Rochester Peace Collective investments, which was put together by the mayor in order for us to assist grassroots organizations and others in the community who are working in anti-violence efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. Now, in the heart of that neighborhood stands the International Plaza, a significant investment from the City of Rochester's and our partners, including Ibero. Commissioner Shirley Green is here to say more about what her team and the partners are doing with that important asset. The way that we are going to drive out the darkness in these neighborhoods is to bring in light. And there's a lot of light on North Clinton Avenue. I know I go there regularly. It's one of our favorite restaurants that me and my wife eats at regularly, almost once every other week, is on North Clinton Avenue. Some of the best shaved ice in the county that you can get is on North Clinton Avenue at the International Plaza. So there's a lot of light in that neighborhood, and how we can drive out the darkness is to make sure that we bring in more of the light, and part of that light is the International Plaza and some of the other investments that we have made there. So I'm going to have Dr. Green come up and talk about some of the investments that we have made in 14605, particularly North Clinton Avenue, and ones that we will make going forward. Dr. Green.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And as the Mayor said, there is light on Clinton Avenue and 14605, and the Department of Recreation and Human Services is there to provide services to our residents. And that includes having 2 vibrant art centers in 14605. We have the Gantt Art Center with extended hours in the summer till 7 p.m., as well as Saturday hours. So there's a safe place for our young people to be, not only during the weekday, but also on Saturdays. The other art center, which sits right on Clinton Avenue, is the Pamela and Trenton Jackson Center, again with extended hours. They currently run from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And so our young people and adults have a safe place on Clinton Avenue. Within that recreation program, we also have adult programming during the day, and we have family activities that continue to happen throughout the day. In addition to the art centers, we have the International Plaza, as the Mayor mentioned. We've hosted Night Out Against Crime with our PD. There have been over 30 musical and dance performances every Sunday in the summer during market days. We celebrated Dominican Day. We kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month. We were part of the Fringe Festival, the Caribbean and Latin American Art Show, and the Kiva Community Fair, all happening right at International Plaza. On Saturday, August 20th, the Total Health and Wellness Fair was held at International Plaza, where we had over 40 vendors and agencies, and we had over 150 residents visiting International Plaza. This was an opportunity for the residents to hear about the services that we offer here in the city of Rochester. In addition to Total Health and Wellness Fair, we hosted Rock the Block, which was on August 13 at Abraham Lincoln School number 22. There we had 31 vendors. We had 63 people attending looking for jobs. During that fair, we had job offerings from Rochester City School District and the Transportation Bus Company. In addition to that, Amazon actually hired 7 residents at that Rock the Block event. And that's what it's all about, offering services to our residents in 14605. Not only are we helping our families and residents, we're also making sure that we're taking care of the pets that those residents have. You may not think that's important, but when our families have pets and they're suffering through trauma, we want to engage. And there's a program in the 14605 neighborhood, Pets for Life, that also support our families and residents. So there is light in 14605, and the Department of Recreation and Human Services will continue to be there to serve our residents. Thank you.
As we work to dismantle decades of disinvestment, we have to continue with these type of projects, this type of focus, in order to turn around the challenges that we have. City of Rochester also invests in the neighborhood itself, and our neighborhood service centers are actively engaged. And I'd like to ask Commissioner Dana Miller to share a bit about his team's work in this area. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the investments that we've made in this area. My department is responsible for housing. So housing is a very, very important aspect of what gets done in that area. But we don't do it alone. We work with partners. So, for example, with our very, very strong partner in that area, Ibero, there's been a $25 million investment in 75 new homes in the project called Pueblo Nuevo. That was in phase one, and in phase two, a $13 million investment in 29 new homes, all in the North Clinton area along Sullivan Street, North Clinton, O'Brien Street, and these new homes are phenomenal. In addition to that, a 10,000 square foot warehouse was converted into a community center. So there's the opportunity for folks to come together and have opportunities to work on various different kinds of projects. Another major investment in housing is actually getting started right now. One of our longest running businesses and one of our most successful businesses in the North Clinton area is Hickey Freeman. Hickey Freeman has been there since 1899 and has been world-renowned for the work that they do. What they find themselves with now is a factory that is oversized for the amount of work that they're doing. So we are working with them to do two things: support the business with business investment, but also to convert part of their building into 120 affordable homes that will be in the upper levels of the building. So that is a major, major investment in a project that is now being called Taylor Square, as in tailoring. So Taylor Square is important. We talked about, and my colleague Dr. Green talked about the International Plaza. As everyone knows, this area has a very, very strong tie to the Hispanic community, the Latinos and Latinas. And so a big part of the International Plaza is all of the activities that take place. The piece that we've worked on in La Marqueta is helping businesses get started. So the market, or La Marqueta as it is often called, is a place where we try to help businesses get started. And by bringing in containers, repurposed shipping containers, and creating opportunities for small businesses to get started, we have actually helped many businesses get up and running, and as they get successful, then they have the opportunity to move out into a bricks and mortar location, ideally in the same area. But these shipping containers that are located in the International Plaza at La Marqueta are an important aspect of helping businesses grow. We also utilize both CARES funds and ARPA funds to help businesses in the area, including El Pilon and a number of other businesses along North Clinton. And finally, another major part of what we do in neighborhood and business development is code enforcement. The mayor, as you all know, pulled together a housing quality task force in one of his early acts in his term. So that housing quality task force had a number of recommendations. Many of those recommendations focused on code enforcement. We have taken those recommendations seriously. We have added new code enforcement officers who are currently in training. We also added a code enforcement trainer to train those trainees, and also to ensure that the people who are working in the field are working in a consistent way to make sure that housing is of a quality that we would expect. The most important thing, though, and one of the most important things, is that we work very closely across departments here. So our law department has added an attorney specifically focused on housing issues. This gives us more opportunity to go after the bad actors in the community who are renting property that is substandard, that does not meet our code requirements, and we can work very effectively now to address those folks and either have them do the work they need to do to bring the properties up to the level that we would expect, or to get out of the business. So those are important things that we're working on in terms of housing, business development, and code enforcement.
And all of these relate to stabilizing neighborhoods. Commissioner Perrin, I'm going to have Commissioner Perrin come up and talk about, some of you may have noticed some of the signs that we've installed around North Clinton Avenue at Don Samuel Torres Park, trying to be a carrot to advise people to stop large gatherings and unnecessary noise, as well as off-the-road vehicles, which we've been very successful with. The off-the-road vehicle detail that the Rochester Police Department had, I think this was probably one of the most successful years in terms of minimizing the disruption of those this past summer. I'm going to have Rich Perrin come and briefly talk about some of the services that his department, the Department of Environmental Services, is doing. I think next time we'll have one of these briefings, we'll get a table so we all can sit down, because usually I'm sure folks are tired. We're usually faster when we do these. But this is a window into the Malik Evans meeting. The only difference is I'll let you guys get to ask some questions. Usually I ask the questions of the folks behind here, but you guys get to ask a couple of questions in a second. Commissioner Perrin, if you want to.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Some of you may be wondering why the Department of Environmental Services is speaking at this, but there's a clear role in that we are responsible for streets, parks, and other public spaces. And so it's absolutely imperative that we create an attractive space for people to be proud of and to also begin to protect. And so when people take pride in their community, it helps out all the other departments and the work that they do. I would talk about our work in two ways. We take a long-term view, sort of the long game, where we're working to design and build transformational projects, as well as the short game, where we're out there day to day, just making the community as attractive as it can be. And that's exactly what the DES team is doing in environmental services. As the mayor and others have noted, the North Clinton Avenue neighborhood has seen just historic disinvestment to the point that its residents almost become accustomed to a lack of attention and care. But over the past several months under the Evans administration, that has changed, and it's changed greatly. We are currently improving water quality by investing in lead service line replacements and cleaning and lining water mains. The area will continue to see these investments in the 14605 zip code through 2023 and beyond. We have specific projects planned every year where we'll be hitting part of it. We're also starting the planning phase for improvements to pedestrian safety along North Clinton, and that's going to happen in 2023. That will be the design. We're going to be looking at bike lanes, curb bump outs, mid-block crossings, and other traffic calming and streetscape improvements. Again, how do we start to create a safe environment from what people see every day and how they interact with it? And construction for that major milling and resurfacing project is anticipated to begin in 2025. So a couple of years of going out and not just designing it here in City Hall with our team and consultants, but also asking the people who live there, what do you see every day? How does this need to operate and work for you? And we're also in the planning phases for the Pueblo Nuevo group improvement project, and that's going to support the infill housing that Commissioner Miller spoke about that's already there. So you'll start to see the improvements there actually being designed next year and built in 2024, and that includes Sullivan Street. And then there's just our day-to-day activities, the on-the-ground work activities that are designed to make an immediate impact. Just last month, we created new pedestrian crosswalks and curb cuts at the International Plaza. So we're not waiting. We're not saying, well, let's wait until 2025 to get this done. We're looking immediately at what we can do to improve pedestrian safety and crossings in that area. And then multiple times each week, our special services division is going out and cleaning it along with the Center for Employment Opportunities. So 3 times a week, there is a full and detailed cleaning of that area, and we need it. We also need people to just recognize that this is your neighborhood. When you put something on the ground there, we'll pick it up, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. Take pride in your neighborhood. Take pride in the built environment. And as the mayor noted, we've done quite a bit of quality of life work and safety additions at Don Samuel Torres Park, and that was in coordination with the Northeast Safety Committee, and that was absolutely critical. We installed those several heavy-duty signs throughout the area reminding people of the city's noise ordinance and rules related to illegal off-road vehicle use. We also trimmed the trees around the lights, just did a full assessment of the lighting at the park to make sure that it's a bright, safe area. And we're going to continue to look at smart city initiatives so that we can begin to have those go on. So we're both conserving energy, but making sure that when somebody's there, they can feel safe. And when somebody's there to do bad things, they can know they're going to be caught. But every day, the Department of Environmental Services team members are doing our part to improve safety and quality of life for people living in the North Clinton Avenue neighborhood. It's a responsibility we take incredibly seriously, and we take it even more seriously after events like the one we had earlier this week and have had along La Avenida going past the last couple of months. So this is really what we're focusing on. This is what we're doing. I'm very proud of our team's efforts, not just in environmental services, but with every one of the folks standing here, and we stand ready to continue to make it happen from the built environment standpoint in public space. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can see, this takes a whole of community approach, a whole of government approach in this administration in order to focus in on this neighborhood where we have seen just a ridiculous amount of violence. Every department. So all of my departments understand that regardless of what your title of your department is, you still have a role to play in violence prevention and violence reduction, violence prevention, interdiction, all of it. I want to remind folks again, last week we talked about large gatherings. We shut some down last week before they even got started. Anyone that hears or sees large gatherings that can escalate and turn into violence, which is where we saw a lot of violence. We saw one on North Clinton Avenue over the summer, as you know. Mike Soretto was here from 911. We want people to call 311 and let us know that information so they can then get that information to the authorities. We can prevent a lot of this. This collaboration is important. I want to thank our county, our state and federal partners, and for all of their collaboration, and that collaboration continues, and as the chief mentioned, we have even supercharged that collaboration, particularly the collaboration with the U.S. Marshals Task Force. I've also talked about the three-pronged approach of prevention, intervention, and suppression. I hope you got some clear examples of what that looks like. Because by getting folks jobs, by making sure our young people are using these R centers, that is a preventative approach that is going to hopefully stop them from wanting to get a gun and put on body armor and shoot in the middle of the day and end up hitting a 3-year-old. And I also said, not me, but we. And last night, and I'm glad the president is here, No Mas in Ibero, I believe, how many, Mr. President, was it 100? 100 strong? Over 100 strong folks. Not me, not folks in City Hall, although some of our officers joined folks, I believe, when we're there. U.S. Marshal Chuck Salina was there. They stood on North Clinton Avenue, formed a chain, and said, no más. Y si tú hablas español, you know what no más means. That means no more. The community is saying no more. No more of this. I don't have a magic wand. We cannot do it alone. You heard the investments that I'm going to make. But we need help from everybody in order to make sure that this work continues. And my entire team commits to continuing to work alongside our community partners, who have been great. Because the vast majority of this community, they don't like that nonsense that maybe the 200 people that are wreaking havoc in this community, and particularly in this neighborhood. And we need to change this. A year from now, I don't want this to read neighborhood in crisis. But the crisis won't stop the work. The crisis won't start the collaboration, and the crisis won't stop the investments that we will continue to make in this neighborhood. We'll be back again next week. Maybe I'll invite you back. I probably will. With my team, they'll continue to give me updates. This is what we do regularly, but we wanted to allow you to get a window into how we meet. So I'm glad the council president was able to join us. But these are the meetings that our team regularly has. But we wanted to have it in a public forum today so you could see the conversations that we have. Unfortunately, I only have time for a couple of questions because I have a very important person I have to meet, the comptroller, at a local place. So I will take a couple of questions, and I would just ask, if you can just ask your question, and please don't editorialize because we don't have a lot of time. Yes, no editorialization, sir, go ahead. Yep.
Basically, I was in the neighborhood yesterday, and I talked to a few people, and they said that there's extreme tensions in the neighborhood. Could you explain what that means, extreme tension?
I don't know. What did they tell you it meant?
Tension between people.
Absolutely. I think that there's absolutely tension, because when you have two different sides of people who don't use their words and can't sit and talk it out, and this is why mediation and these things are so important, that tension will escalate into them using a firearm over the barrel of a gun. But the problem with that is that they're not out in some field in the middle of nowhere. They are in a city area. So if they want to go somewhere out and do that, that's their business. But when they're doing it in the middle of our city, of my city, in your city, that's when it becomes a problem. And those are the tensions that we have to make sure we dissipate. And that's why the police presence is absolutely there. It is absolutely there, and it's absolutely important. But I want to be clear. We don't have 1 million police officers, so they can't be everywhere. Thank God, on Wednesday night, they were like one street over. So that's how they were able to get these individuals very quickly, because they were in the neighborhood. But they can't be everywhere at all times. That's why we have to make sure that we take the beef that people have, fry it up, and eat it. That's if you're not a vegetarian. Yeah. I'll leave that to the chief. Chief, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we have, like I said, the sheriffs helped us out last night. The sheriffs are going to continue to help us. The Community Affairs Bureau is down there again during the day today. And what we've done over the past 24 hours is kind of evaluate what we think our staffing needs to be. We'll be looking for officers to volunteer first, as we always do, to fill those slots. And then we will have basically a rotational system in place if we have to mandate officers fill the other slots. You know, but again, I can't stress enough, these guys and gals are tired. They're going all out. They've gone all out all summer, and now we're asking them, you know, with very little relief in sight. You know, we got a class starting in the fall. It's not going to be spring till we see them. And they are, again, they're stepping up. They're doing the work, but it comes at a cost. I'm glad I have the wellness unit. We are using the heck out of it, honestly. And, you know, these guys and gals are spending a lot of time away from their families to do this.
Mr. Mayor, one last thing.
Yeah.
One of the shooters yesterday was out due to conditions on being sentencing and bail reform. Is it time for something to change with bail reform, or are you happy with that current system as it stands?
What I want to change in the system is I want to make sure that any individual that is carrying an illegal gun, that there are consequences for them carrying illegal guns. I don't know what that looks like, but that needs to change, because when I have 53 people arrested, and those 53 people that are arrested, they are out, and then they commit other crimes, I have a problem with that. The larger community has a problem with that. We need to make sure, and I'm not talking about someone that steals a pack of gum. You still shouldn't steal a pack of gum, but I don't think you should be sitting in jail if you steal a pack of gum. But you should be sitting in jail if you shoot your mother in the face, or if you go over to your sister's house and you have an argument with her and you shoot your sister's wife. These are all actual cases of things that have happened. That individual that shot and caused a 3-year-old to be shot and was out waiting to be sentenced should not have been around. But what we need to zero in on are individuals that are carrying illegal guns, because we need to make it very uncomfortable to carry an illegal gun in the city of Rochester. And I will tell you that you are less likely to carry an illegal gun if you know that you are going to be held until trial. Illegal gun. Last year in Monroe County, you know how many homicides there were by people who carried legal guns? 0. Zip, nada. The people who are perpetuating this nonsense are people that are carrying illegal guns for the most part. And that is a major problem. If you don't have an illegal gun, you're less likely to use it. You're not going to use it. Maybe you use your hands. Eriquetta. High visibility is something that the community asked for, and I'll let the chief weigh in here. High visibility is exactly what it means. When you look around, you see police officers. When you look around, you see others that are there. The community affairs van, other things parked there. High visibility means that when you look, you see a law enforcement presence, in addition to maybe other community folks that are involved, folks from Victor's team. High visibility. When people see things, cameras, people, they're less likely to do things. So that's what high visibility means. Chief, I don't know if you want to elaborate further.
Sure. I mean, there's a various number of activities that are planned with this that you'll see the officers doing, as you typically do in high visibility. Again, you know, this is not, you know, the days of where we, you know, stop and frisk everyone that's walking. But what you're going to see them doing is some, you know, knock and talks, going into the businesses, talking to neighbors, You know, again, trying to assuage their fears, let them know that we're here, build a relationship. We're going to be doing some custom notifications, which is where, as we've identified so-and-so as, you know, may possibly a player in the violence, we're going to go knock on their door and say, hey, you know, we know, and we want you to know that we know that we're watching. So, you know, again, there is a plan for this as it rolls out, and you'll be seeing more of it.
Okay, last question. Hold on, before I get to you. Someone who didn't have a question yet. Okay, you get the last word.
So you were saying, as far as holding people who already have been arrested on a gun charge and up to trial, what do you propose then?
I'm saying for anyone that has a propensity to commit violence. If I'm carrying a gun, and I like using real examples. I don't like just, you know, because what we do a lot of is in this community, we don't talk about data. That's data. I meet these people and they tell me a story about something that they have. So I like using actual examples, case studies. Anybody know what a case study is? That's something that actually happened. So let me give you an example of a case study. So if you're an individual that shot up a party last year, right? You shoot up a party last year. You get released. Then you get arrested again for carrying another gun, fleeing police, and then you get released. And then the third time, you shoot 2 kids at a birthday party. I think you should be held on that. So that's what I mean, and that's what it looks like. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. We will continue to invite you to these as they go forward. Thank you so much. Take care.